it's all about how hard you're working.
There's no money for people who aren't willing to hustle. Hey guys, I'm back with Steve Cook, and we got a little bit of a different topic I want to talk about. Both of us are entrepreneurs in the fitness industry. I know a lot of my followers, and I see a lot of people starting up YouTubes and trying to be online coaches, this sort of thing. A lot of my followers, I think especially, are into fitness entrepreneurship or are interested in that sort of thing, building a brand. And so I kind of want to ask you, like, what led you to that place? Like, how did you get involved with it? Was it, like, purposeful, or did it kind of, like, for me, I know it kind of happened by accident.
Yeah. For me, I would say it's kind of happened by accident as well.
Yeah.
I was told for the longest time, and really, I'll be honest, social media out there, while, there's a lot of times I just want to throw my phone across the room because social media can be super frustrating. It really, fitness entrepreneurship, I think there's so much that is driven around social media. So that I would say, without social media, I probably wouldn't have a brand like I do now. But I really got into it after I stepped on stage and I was the third men's physique pro, and I remember there was a photographer saying that there's no money in fitness, right? Like these big time bodybuilders, they get paid, but maybe just the top 5 of them. You're not don't make this your job. And I was like, oh no.
There's no money for people who aren't willing to hustle.
Right.
That's the difference.
And that's exactly what I learned, because what happened.
Because we know that there's dudes with great physiques out there, great physiques, who work hard in the gym, who are friggin' lazy when it comes to other stuff. You know, they don't. I get this all the time. People will look at me like, well, why does Layne have a big following? Yeah. My physique's better than him. Or I lift more weights than him.
All the time people say that.
I'm like, yeah, are you out here hustling? Are you grinding at 2 a.m. in the morning, putting up content, all that kind of stuff?
And the exterior is just a small part of the equation, because there's always going to be someone who's better looking. There's always going to be someone who's more talented.
Well, maybe not than Steve, but
there's always going to be somebody out there that's next. It's all about how hard you're working, and I think that I've been put into some great situations working with Optimum Nutrition, working with bodybuilding.com. So when we first started out working together, I was working at 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I was working at a biology and psychology degree. I still do, but I was working at a restaurant because that was the only job that allowed me to travel the world. And what I said to Optimum Nutrition was, they were paying me $500 a month, and I said, hey, you guys just send me to as many places as you can. I want to meet people at expos. I want to shake hands. I want to talk to people about what their diets are like. Yes, and all I can say is my only thought process of doing that was like, I read somewhere that's what Arnold Schwarzenegger did for his movies. He got into a jet and went to 40 different cities. Every day he was in there hustling.
And you know what? The one of the big thing is people sacrifice the long dollar for the short nickel. You know what I mean? They do that all. So what you did was you sacrificed the short nickel for the long dollar, right? I want to meet as many people as I can. I mean, I went out, and instead of when I first started, I had all the credentials to write for magazines and all this kind of stuff. But when I went out, muscular development. I emailed muscular development. I said, listen, I would like to write for your magazine. You don't have to pay me. I just want to prove that I can put good content in there. And if you put a little bit of blurb about my coaching service, that'd be great, right? And I wrote for every rinky-dink magazine. I wrote for every website. I did every crappy podcast there was. I did all that. I never turned one down. Yeah. I answered. I estimate, because people are like, oh, look at Layne, he gets to go around and do all this stuff. Yeah. People don't know, I've been grinding since 2001. I'm probably now just getting paid for all the free shit I put out online. And I answered, we went back and tracked and estimated, can only estimate, between private messages on forums, between Facebook messages, Twitter, all this kind of stuff, that I've answered over 300,000 messages in the last 15 years. It's crazy. So, and I've done hundreds of articles, tons of content, right? And so when people say, well, why am I, I'm grinding, I'm not, okay, have you grinded like that? Because I did that stuff not ever expecting to be paid, right? I did that, and what it did was, it wasn't on purpose. I just loved this stuff. Right. I loved it. I talk about having passion all the time. It's so important, because at certain points, we love this shit, but at certain points you get real frustrated, right? And if you don't have that fire and that passion, you're not going to grind through those parts, and that's why people quit. And there was a great example of that was the Wright brothers. Only had high school degrees. The guys who invented the airplane only had high school degrees. They didn't have any of the top stuff. They didn't have any government funding. They had a bunch of spare parts they just scraped together
from their bicycle.
There was another guy, I can't remember his name, and I'm telling this story secondhand from something I heard, but he was government funded, had $50,000 from the government back in that time, right?
Wow.
50,000. There was camera crews following around. He brought in all the top engineers, all this kind of stuff. But you know what he was doing it for? He wanted to be famous, and he wanted to make a lot of money, right? Orville and Wilbur Wright just wanted to see the thing fucking fly. They just wanted to see it fly.
That passion.
That passion. And that's what causes you to stay up till 4 a.m. to do that kind of stuff.
And
my film guy last night, Chad Nutter, he didn't have to do it. He's up till 2 a.m. editing film.
Poor Chad?
I mean? So
it's intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation.
Exactly. And you know what happened when Orville and Wilbur Wright made the airplane? That day, the other guy quit. They quit.
Really?
They went home. They still could have made flight. They could have made a better airplane than what they did, right? But they quit because they're like, well, I don't have the fame, right? So you got to be, Steve.
Who are you guys? Are you Wilbur and Orville, or are you the guy that quits?
The other guy, yeah. So like, don't. I always tell people. My friend Brian Doris says this. He says, don't try to fake passion, because if you do, eventually you meet somebody who's truly passionate, and they will fucking embarrass you.
100%.
So, and I'm not like, I tell people, find what you really are passionate about. Like for me, I was born to do this stuff.
Yep.
I was born to coach. I was born to put this content out. I was born to lift. Like that's what I was put in this earth to do. And do some science.
Respect that.
But and know your role, as The Rock says.
Know your role.
Know your role. So and keep I'll see a lot of people in fitness who don't actually love it, who are just they're trying to force themselves into something. And sometimes for some people it's just a hobby, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if this is something you feel like you were born to do, then grind.
And to be honest, that's why I haven't stepped on stage in almost 3 years, because I didn't have passion for it. I just was like, you know what? It had caused I had so many negative emotions wrapped around it, and for me, it no longer. I couldn't fake doing the same workout routines online and this and that. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go have fun with things. I'm gonna get back to training like an athlete.
Yep.
I'm gonna surround myself with people that aren't bodybuilders. I surround myself with some exercise physiologists, some guys that get their master's degrees, and we're putting together programming that, again, now I'm just getting back into the Olympic lifts, getting back into things that really I'm crappy at, the mobility stuff that I should have been doing. But all of a sudden I'm finding again that this is what I love. This is why this is why I played college football, because I had a passion for it. And then it was all about the physique, and I think you can have both, and they need to coexist. And I'm finding that balance, and that key word balance is what you talked about. But when you have that passion for something, you know what you're good at, and you know what you have passion for, and then you pursue that like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I like what Will Smith says. He says, don't have a plan B, because it only detracts from plan A. I wanted to make shirts that said fuck plan B. But unfortunately, everybody thinks about the birth control. So, but I did a rant on that on Instagram one time that got a lot of views. I said, if you give yourself something to fall back on, you will fall back, because when it gets hard. Because if you're trying to do something new or different or anything like that,
100%.
You know how many people told me saying that, like, natural bodybuilding, you'll never make a living in that, or you can't transition to powerlifting and still maintain an aesthetic physique. Nobody will care about powerlifting. Right. Look how hot powerlifting is.
Powerlifting is all the trend, right?
Right,
now. Everyone's doing it.
Flexible dieting, nobody will buy into this. Nobody's going to do this.
But you believed in it.
But I believed it.
That was the thing, is you knew it wasn't one of those things that was like a fad. Like, you knew
online coaching.
Yeah.
People said, you can't coach people online. It won't work. Back in 2005 when I started doing it, Now we have a whole industry of online coaches, right?
Everyone's an online
coach. And then Avatar, Avatar Nutrition, like the website we've been putting together. Like, we've had so many setbacks with that. Like, all of us wanted to quit at certain points, and we just kept grinding through it. And part of that too is, like, people talk about, like, waiting for opportunities to come up so they can, quote unquote, take them.
Right.
Let me tell you something. You better be breaking down doors. Making your opportunities. All right, successful people, Les Brown says this. Successful people, when they do not see the circumstances that allow them to be successful, they make their own circumstances. They change them for themselves.
It's a vision.
And if I could give you I think Steve and I will have the same thing. Work hard, find something you're passionate about, surround yourself with positive people.
Yeah.
If you got negative people telling you can't do it, or it's not going to work out, or whatever, you get them out of your life. Because if you have them around negative, do nothing, lazy people, and again, we have people like this in the fitness industry who are gifted, they have great physiques or whatever, but they're lazy when it comes to business, and they wonder why they can't make money with it, And it's like, if you have those lazy, no drive, no ambition people, and you want to do something with your life, you're not going to raise them up. They're going to pull you down. You know what I mean? So I always say, like, I want to be whatever I'm doing, I want to be. If I'm in a room of academics, I want to be the dumbest guy in the room.
Yeah.
If I'm in a room of bodybuilders, I want to be the worst bodybuilder in the room. If I'm training with somebody, like I want somebody who's going to push me.
Yeah.
Like we're different in different ways, but we'll both push each other in different
100%.
ways. You know, and so surround yourself with people who can make you improve.
You never stop learning. Obviously, people say that all the time. You never stop learning, but like that's what's I think, and that's really I think coming from Layne's standpoint, he's passionate about learning. You're passionate about if there's something that comes out, a new research study that comes out that's proven that it shows whatever the case may be, you're going to be what is this? I want to take a look at that. You're always on the cutting edge of that, and that's it's a never ending thing. I will say this: there's going to be failure at some point in your life. There's going to be I was married at 21 years old. I don't recommend it. Married at 21, divorced at 23 and a half in a situation where I wasn't finished with school. The NFL didn't work out. I was at a kind of a low point. Got divorced, but that failure, that kind of going through that, made me like. It was at that point I could have been like, well, she cheated, this and that. I had to look myself in the mirror and be like, you know what? I don't like that dude. I don't like that guy because guess what? I don't know. I'm not doing what I really want to do. I was living for somebody else. I was trying to always make that person happy. Yep. Until you know what you want to do, until you have that vision for yourself, guess what? You're never going to be happy with other people making those choices for you. And if you're not making those choices, you better believe other people will make those choices. You'll live for somebody else.
And I think that's the point. Is the first thing is when something goes wrong in your life,
yep,
it's you.
Yep.
Okay? Like, yeah, some bad stuff can happen, but for the most part, if you're an adult and consistently things are going wrong, the common denominator of your life is you. And successful people, the first person they look at when something goes wrong, they go, what did I do? What could I have done better? How did I screw this up? And sometimes it's not you.
Right.
But if you start there, but if you're doing this, you are never going to be successful. You are never going to be successful. So, guys, work hard, be passionate. Find those, there's a reason that like when you interview successful people, they don't tell you about secret, like the real ones. They don't tell you about the secrets that you have to. They tell you passion, hard work, know when the opportunities are there, take them, or beat down the doors until you make them.
Right.
And I think that those are the biggest things. And surround yourself with positive people.
Yeah.
And always be trying to grow. Always be trying to get better. I'm going back. In 2018, I'm going to go back to grad school. I'm going to go back and do a master's in exercise physiology.
That's dope.
Because I'm like, man, I've got these questions and this.
Yeah.
And I kind of started coming up with excuses why. Well, I got 2 kids now and this. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is the same stuff I tell people. That's bullshit excuse.
Right.
If you want to do it, then just fucking do it. So I'm going to do it.
And I heard when I heard this saying that that mentors. Mentors are great. You need to have people out there that you look up to, but nobody can give you the answers. Like the worst thing you can think of is, if you, Steve, I get it all the time. Will you just mentor me on how to be successful in the fitness industry? If I could tell everyone how to be successful in the industry, it's not going to work out for everyone. You have to figure out what works out for yourself. You have to figure out what you're good at, what you're not good at. You need to fail in certain areas to know, okay, that's not the right way to do it. And the only way, if someone gives you the fish and you don't learn how to fish, you're never going to truly be successful. So that's my only thing with have people that are going to help you out that you trust. But at the end of the day, you're going to need to go through those life experiences to really decide what you are capable of and what you're good at.
And Steve brought up a good point. Failure is going to happen. But failure, it's not failure unless you quit. Unless you quit on it. Now, people ask me when's it acceptable to quit on a goal. I said if you're not passionate about it anymore, then it's okay to quit on it. I want to be a marine biologist.
Yeah.
I became not passionate about that anymore. Bodybuilding became my passion, right? And so but I'm still passionate about bodybuilding, so or the fitness industry. Mm-hmm. So I'd never quit on this. As frustrated as I get sometimes, I would never quit on it because I love it. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. I have failed way more times than I've succeeded. But you can fail 100 times, but if it's that one breakthrough, that one success, that's all it takes. So I'll end on this. Les Brown talks about and if you're not following Les Brown and Eric Thomas and all these motivational speakers, you need to get up every morning, listen to a motivational speech. I do that every single morning. Every morning. He says there's a I believe it's a Japanese sort of kind of bamboo tree that it takes 5 years once it's planted to break the surface of the ground. And after it breaks the surface of the ground, in 6 weeks, it grows 80 feet.
Really?
Right? Now the question is, did it grow 80 feet in 6 weeks or 5 years? The answer is obvious. It was 5 years,
5
right?
years.
But all people saw was the 6 weeks.
Right.
Right? So you probably said, oh, man, I've been following you forever since 2011. Or same thing with me, like, dude, I've been in this since 2001. Like, it is a grind. It's going to take a long time. You're going to fail. You're going to have people that'll discourage you.
Yep.
You're going to have, blood flow restriction training. People told me this is nuts. This is stupid.
Right.
This and that. Now there's so many people doing blood flow restriction training. So
we're gonna get a bicep and tricep blood flow restriction training today. I totally agree. The little bit of success you see, you're like, they're so lucky. Hours and hours and hours went into that.
Yeah, you can't even imagine, like, if people only knew, like, and I try to be very transparent with times I do fail, and things I talk about, but it's you got to be willing to grind through those times because it's going to get tough. And if you
embrace the grind, embrace that, because guess what? When you hit your goal, and inevitably, if you don't give up, you will. You're always going to want a little bit more. You're going to want something else. Like, there's that grind. That's what you just got to learn to embrace and love.
And the journey is what you'll look back on and have fond memories
100%.
of. And actually, you'll have fond memories of the times you failed.
Yeah.
That's what you will really have fond memories of, because you can look back with your heart full and say, I didn't give up. And Babe Ruth said, it's hard to beat a man who never gives up.
That's the damn truth.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Catch you next time.
Thank you, guys.